You gotta come celebrate the best tacos in Texas at the Texas Monthly Taco Fest on June 7th at Discovery Green. You'll get to sample some of the best taquerias around as appointed by the one and only Texas Monthly Taco Editor. This celebration of the 50 best tacos in Texas is gonna feature live music, drinks, and my favorite part, all the tacos you can handle and more. Get your tickets now at texasmonthly.com/tacofest. The largest pop culture festival in Texas is back at the George R. Brown Convention Center from June 20th to June 22nd, Comic Palooza. And there is so much to do at Comic Palooza, so dress up as your favorite character. I'll probably be in a Batman costume, and check out the different exhibitors on the show floor, stop by the Okashi Japanese arcade area, or visit one of the many celebrity panels. Get your tickets now at comicpalooza.com/CityCastHouston. Today on CityCast Houston, it's Friday, so I'm breaking down the big news of the week and what it means for you with ABC 13 reporter Pooja Lodhia. And stay tuned because during the conversation, I have a fun tip from today's sponsor, Comic Palooza. It's Friday, May 30th. I'm Raheel Ramzanali, and here's what Houston's talking about. Okay, I want to start with an update on George Coulomb, aka King George. And just a heads up, there is some sensitive information in this story. So if you have kids in the car, this would be a good time to pause it and pick this episode up a little bit later. But we have an update on the cause of death for the founder of the Texas Renaissance Festival, who was found dead in his home last week. And now we know the cause of death. It was suicide. And Pooja, this is hard to talk about because suicide and the ideation of suicide impacts so many people. But, this all came after we found out that, King George lost a major lawsuit and was also ordered to pay over $20 million in damages to a group of investors who had bought the festival from him. And then he reneged on the deal. So there was a lot of different things happening. He also lost the re-election bid as mayor of Todd Mission in Grimes County. And now we have this update.
It really is sad to hear. And I hope that people who are listening right now will understand that there are resources out there. So if they are listening right now, I hope that they reach out and get some help because you hate to see anybody die this way.
Absolutely. And the resources, you can always call 988 if you are in a crisis. And there are more resources as well in our show notes. So please check those out. If you know somebody that is going through this, or if you are going through this, there is help out there. So please take full advantage of that. Pooja, I want to get to your big story because this is causing a lot of chatter, not only in our city, but across the state. What is happening with Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick right now?
What isn't happening, right? I mean, when you talk about a person who people talk about a lot on podcasts and on the news, it's Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. He is always dramatic, always got something going on. And right now he is making huge headlines for talking about banning all forms of recreational THC. This is, of course, a big deal because if you've driven around Houston or really anywhere in our area lately, you see just how many stores are out there. I mean, this is a huge, huge business in our state. We've all seen how many of these places have popped up just over the past year. I feel like at least 3 or 4 of them have popped up right next to me. So as of right now, this idea to ban these products has passed both the House and the Senate. It is going to the governor's desk. It'll be interesting to see what the governor does because actually he's been pretty quiet about his thoughts on this whole thing.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because usually it seems like they are aligned, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick and Governor Greg Abbott. But yeah, it's been kind of quiet. And by the way, for those of you who don't know, here's the backstory on how all of this became legal. Okay, so basically in 2019, it became legal for people to sell, low amounts of THC, CBD, and all of these shops started popping up and, Texans could use what they wanted, right, with the strains that are available at these stores. And people started, small businesses around this. And now all of a sudden, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick is like, no, this is enough. We're not doing this. Instead of regulating it, instead of putting more rules in place that would limit the sales or how these things are marketed. He's just outright saying, that's it. We're not, no more. Like THC stuff is done. And it got to the point this week where he even started like throwing these snacks at reporters in a press conference. Houston Chronicles' Jeremy Wallace asked, like, why can't adults have these? And Dan Patrick went right at him. Like, he didn't even let him finish a question. It was crazy how passionate he is about this. And Pooja, I get it. Like, I see both sides of this, right? There is a safety concern in his mind, which, okay, if that is the card you're playing, then why aren't we taking a harder stance on something like alcohol and drunk driving? Why aren't we doing that? Like, if it's all about safety, then let's do that too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I do think, we've spoken to medical experts about this. I do think that there are legitimate concerns when you talk about THC products, and especially when you talk about them involving kids. But like you said, there are legitimate concerns with so many things that we do. And
Yeah.
in so many of those cases, we talk about freedom. So in this one, it really is interesting that this is something that our lieutenant governor has really cracked down hard about, especially because it's not like we've been hearing him talk about this for the past 5 years. Right. You know what I mean?
Nope.
This has been going on now since, like you said, 2019. And all of a sudden, this seems to be his big thing that he's been talking about. What is interesting is, a similar bill actually went to the desk of the Florida governor, Ron DeSantis. We know he's a Republican also, and has been aligned with Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick on a lot of these issues. He actually vetoed this bill, pointing to the
Mm.
economy, because we're talking about an $8 billion industry here in Texas. So a lot of people have made that economic argument. We are not hearing that economic argument right now from our lieutenant governor, and we haven't heard much at all from our governor. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, this is really setting up to be an interesting final few days at the 89 state legislature. And I just want to point out one more thing. You mentioned the teens and safety with THC products. I want to go back to alcohol because Texas has the third highest rate of drunk drivers under the age of 21 that are involved in fatal crashes. Isn't that something that we should be also focusing on? If public safety is truly the heart of this bill, we'll see how this plays out because I mean, this is wild. And I hope he doesn't throw any THC products at me because I'll just take them. I'm just going to walk away, give it to my friends if they want it. I wonder, did the reporters keep the products he threw at them?
That's a really good question. I feel like at that point, you put it on your desk, you frame it. It's like, it's a souvenir from the Capitol. One other thing, though, I wanted to mention is, we did pull up some statistics about how Texans feel about THC products, and they're overwhelmingly in favor of them. So that's another thing that's so interesting about the lieutenant governor really focusing on this issue. I
Mhm.
mean, I saw one statistic that said 70% of people in the state are okay with certain THC products of low levels being legal. So it really is interesting because it doesn't seem incredibly popular to go after these THC products right now.
It really is. I'm glad you brought those statistics up. And yeah, we'll see what happens when it comes across Governor Abbott's desk. Like, what is he going to do? Is he going to comment on this? Or is this one that Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick and his crew? All right, because I'm just going to put him in crews now. Like, this is going to be their thing. And this passes. This is going to be super interesting because this is going to impact so many Texans on the business side, on the personal side, and just overall, in my opinion, like big government basically involved in your life saying, hey, you can't do this. All right. Personal liberties and freedoms be damned. We're going to let you know how to operate. So there's just so much at play here. There's something else at play right now, and that is the big budget vote coming up next week, June 4th, at City Council. But there's a new lawsuit, Pooja, that could throw a wrench in the entire process. And I'm going to try explaining this as best as I can because this gets a little, confusing and wonky and there's numbers, but it's basically all about how much money the city is investing into our drainage system. So Houston's behind on that investment and it's gone through the court for years. But Mayor Whitmire worked out a deal with the original plaintiffs to set up a payment plan for the drainage and flooding projects that the city never completed. Now, this was before his time, but he worked out this payment plan. And this was a big way he was able to basically balance this budget. Well, now the nonprofit West Street Recovery and some Houston residents are saying, no, you need to pay out right now for these projects and start working on these projects immediately instead of spreading out the money and balancing out your budget. And they're spreading that over the next 3 years. So West Street Recovery and these private citizens are saying you can't just make an agreement and just like work out this payment plan. You need to honor all of this right now because that's what the voters wanted.
I think that there is honestly a lot of anger out there just among regular Houstonians about this whole drainage project. I mean, we have all had our homes flooded. We have all had our streets flooded. We've all had water in our cars, right? Like, we know that these drainage systems need to be fixed. And honestly, I don't think most taxpayers mind having money being put into there. So I think the fact that these drainage projects haven't been completed really angers a lot of people.
Yeah, and then add on to that, like when you work out this payment plan and redoing the new police contract that cost almost $1 billion, that was really expensive. And that took away money from the drainage project. So it's really frustrating citizens. And if a judge does rule in their favor, the budget deficit would go back to over $300 million because it would be one big lump sum payment to these projects that were already approved by voters.
And when you talk about the police budget, let's also talk about the firefighters. I mean,
Yeah.
whether you support settling that firefighter lawsuit or not, there is no question that it's a lot of money. I mean, it's projected to be over $1 billion over the next several years. So you're talking about priorities here. We know that Mayor Whitmire has said that public safety is his number one priority, and he's showing that, right? He is making deals with public safety groups. He is giving police officers raises. He settled this lawsuit with the firefighters. But I do think for the average Houstonians, drainage matters a lot too. It's something
Yeah.
that impacts us constantly. I mean, just the other day, right? It started raining. And I know living in Houston, every time it really pours like that, I get nervous. And I know everybody
Oh,
does,
of course.
right? And like, why are we living in a city where we get horrified and nervous every time it rains? Come on, that's crazy.
Yeah, and that's why so many people want these projects finally completed, get them going, and let's see if they can help with all of this flooding because these are things that are impacting our everyday lives. So we'll see how this plays out. We're coming down to the wire with the budget, and this could change everything up. Nothing says a Texas road trip like heading to the cowboy capital of the world, Bandera, Texas. And they're doing Friday Night Lights with their cowboy twist. You gotta check out the Riding on Faith 2025 Summer Series Rodeo, which kicks off every Friday night from May 30th through July 25th at Mansfield Park in Bandera. I love live music, and Bandera keeps the music playing, from big-name headliners to classic honky-tonks. And this summer, Bandera is proud to be one of 7 Texas cities to host a special traveling exhibit from the Smithsonian called Crossroads, Change in Rural America. And it highlights how rural communities have changed in the last century. Experience this engaging, interactive display from June 21st to July 26th at the Bandera Middle School. Start planning your road trip now at banderacowboycapital.com. Bandera, Texas. Cowboy dreams begin here. H-Town really comes alive in spring, and especially in the heart of our city, downtown Houston. There's so much to do, so grab your crew and explore everything downtown Houston has to offer. From their vibrant parks to their sizzling food scene, and of course, those amazing free outdoor events all season long. Want to just gather the family and hang out like I enjoy doing? Downtown Houston has you covered. Head to Market Square Park or Treveley Park for kid-friendly games, movies under the stars, and so much more. To really be in the know, text downtown to 56512, where you'll find maps, the best parking spots, special events, and more. You can also find all of the fun and free events at downtownhouston.org. Spring is here, so come eat, play, and explore in downtown Houston. Get revived and energized in downtown. Pooja, I want to get to our most overlooked stories. And I actually saw you reported on one that I was like, what? Why are we not talking more about this? Tell me about this big crime ring, please.
Are you talking about the mail theft? So mail theft has been a huge issue in our area and really across the whole country for a couple of years now. We're seeing huge increases in people going out there, making fake keys, or just simply opening up mailboxes, taking mail out and stealing people's identity or even check washing. I mean, so I don't know about you, Raheel, but like I'm not always the best about checking my mail. And I think a
Mhm.
lot of us aren't, right? Because we feel like mail is kind of outdated. You know, you pay all of your bills online. You're not getting that much in the mail that really matters. I'm just getting like weird flyers and coupons, right?
Pooja, I'm going to stop you right there. I've actually had a check worth a lot of money.
Really?
It was stolen. Yeah. It never got delivered. Somebody cashed it. And the person who sent me the check, we had to file a police report. We had to go back and forth. The bank had to be involved. It was a whole mess. So when I saw this story, I was like, oh my gosh, yes. I have been part of this. And it was a whole process. I did get my money. All right. It was fine, but nothing ever came of it. Like the police couldn't do anything. They couldn't find the people, even though somebody cashed the check.
That is terrible. I didn't know about that. And you were not the only one. I mean, we covered this story earlier this week, and 3 people were arrested. So basically, this whole thing started out in early April. Police say that they pulled over a car because the tag was like slightly blocked. So they pulled over this car. They say that they found a huge garbage bag filled with fake IDs and stolen mail and also keys that had been made, like counterfeit keys that had been made
What?
so that these thieves could go in there and actually open up mailboxes in apartment complexes. So they found all of this. Then investigators got a tip about a hotel room. And this was at a hotel room just along the
Mhm.
Katy Freeway. So a normal looking hotel room. They went in there and they say that they found all kinds of stuff. I mean, we're talking about 16 stolen checks totaling nearly 5,000. Maybe one of those was yours, Rio. 42 credit and debit cards and almost 500 pieces of mail. And also
What?
counterfeit tools, a printer, tools used to make fake IDs. And these aren't fake IDs like the kind that we had in college.
Yeah.
I'm speaking for you too. But it's not like a different name, right? Like these are real people's names and real people's information.
Oh my
So it's
gosh.
really scary, right? So, I mean, in that case, you can steal people's identity very easily. And get this to me was the most shocking part about covering this story. So I learned, and I don't think we actually reported this on air because we kind of found out a little bit later, but this investigation was put on by the Postal Service. So the postal inspectors were the kind of lead agency on this. And they were able to file state charges on these suspects. But until this goes to federal charges, the victims here, the people whose identities were taken, the people whose credit cards and debit cards they found, aren't being notified. So they have no idea right now. There are
Oh,
87 people right now in our area who have no idea that they're even part of this investigation. And the
why?
reason
Why? What is the reason that, come on, let's use common sense here.
uh, they say it's an active investigation. They don't want to jeopardize that investigation. But there are victims out there who don't know it.
Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh.
at this point, I mean, I feel like I would want to know if somebody found my
Yeah.
credit card because I would want to then be checking my credit card every 10 minutes or
Yeah.
maybe even changing it, right? Like maybe even getting like new information.
That is so crazy.
I
That
know.
is so crazy. The red tape that comes with government, and I get it, you have to do that active investigation, all that, but come on, let's use common sense here.
Agreed.
Come on, let the people know. That's why I check my credit card online every single day. I'm like, I never know.
Good.
I've said this on the podcast before. I seems like I have to replace my credit card like every 3 months. Okay. Like I don't know why it gets stolen so much. I guess my information is just out there. People are having a great time with it. But I check my statement every single day. I'm like religious about it. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. No charges. I'm good today. So I get this. This is so wild. And shout out to the Postal Service on catching these people
Absolutely.
because that is important, right? Like you have to have trust that your stuff isn't being stolen, things are getting delivered, and there aren't counterfeit keys out there. So yeah, kudos to them and really interesting reporting.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to get to my most overlooked story, and it is hot outside, so we want to jump into the pool. And guess what? Houston residents, you will be able to jump into a lot of pools because the Houston Parks and Rec Department announced that a majority of the city pools this season are going to open up, 31 out of 38, because they have now lowered the minimum age of a lifeguard to 15 years old, something that our friend Maggie Gordon, who was formerly at the Houston Landing, recommended in her story 2 years ago. So this is something that other cities have been doing, lowering that minimum age to 15 years old. And now the city of Houston is like, okay, let's do that because there was a huge shortage of lifeguards ever since the pandemic. Now these lifeguards will be working with a head lifeguard and parental consent is still needed. But I'm glad to see that most pools are going to be open because the ones that were closed, Pooja, they were unfortunately impacting neighborhoods of color and, they earned less in those zip codes as well. So now that inequality is being fixed with a simple move that was recommended 2 years ago by Maggie Gordon.
I love it. And, we talk about crime. We talk about so many things on this podcast and just among our friends. Let's think of good things for our kids to do. Let's find good
busy.
places. Exactly. For our young people, spend their summers, at libraries and swimming pools instead of getting into trouble, right? Like, let's keep these things open.
Yeah. One of my favorite memories when I was in middle school and high school, our local high school would open up the gym in the summer. So we would all go play basketball and then we would go to the pool and hang out all day, right? Instead of doing other nonsense that we didn't have to. So it was fun. When these public facilities are available, it's a great way to go do something, meet kids from other neighborhoods, and it just occupies the free time that comes with summer. So I love this. I'm glad more pools are open. Do you have a public pool story? Come on. Were you one of those kids running around at the public pool?
Oh, well, we had a neighborhood pool when I was a kid, and we went there every single day.
Yes.
And get this, we would actually, when I was a kid, my brother and I would go sit in the car. We'd turn the heater on so we could get really hot and sweaty. And then we would run to the pool because it felt so good.
Why didn't you just hang out outside and get hot?
I have no idea. As I'm telling this story, I'm realizing how little it makes sense. But it made a lot of sense at the time.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
How does PwC take your company to the leading edge? They bring the sharpest minds in tech to your team, so you can bring the ideas that will transform your business. They're passionate about your industry, so you can walk into any room with every advantage. And they're with you every step of the way, so you can know you're headed in the right direction. PwC builds for what's next, so you can get there now. Get started at pwc.com/us/leading edge.
All right, Pooja, I want to get to my moment of joy. And this is a moment of joy because he had such a stellar career. But this past week, we lost Jose Grignon, who was a longtime anchor at Fox 26, and he retired in 2023. He spent 30 years at Fox 26. So I want to send some love to his family on the passing of such an important person, not only to our city, but to them as well. And, 30 years at one station, Pooja, that is so unbelievable. What an accomplishment.
Oh, he was an incredible person. Truly. I mean, he made a difference. He has the type of name that I think people are going to be talking about for years to come. And he had a beautiful family. I don't know if you know his wife, Kathy Griffin.
Yeah.
She is a woman who's worked a lot with a lot of organizations in our city and our state. She's awesome. I feel for her. I feel for everybody, obviously, at Fox. But I know all of us younger reporters really have always looked up to him. So I'm sad to see him go.
Yeah, here's a fun story for you.
Oh, please.
I remember when he debuted in 1993 because I remember hearing that name and I was like, this is such a unique name, right? Like
Yes.
Jose Grignon, and he was part of so many organizations and he pushed forward so many Black journalists, Hispanic journalists as well. So when I saw that, it broke my heart, but also gave me a moment to reflect that he spent 30 years at one station. He accomplished so much and became a household name in the city of Houston. And he passed away at the age of 72 years old. So rest in peace, Jose Grignon.
Absolutely.
Pooja, what was your moment of joy this week?
I had an amazing time this week. Have you ever heard of the author Ocean Vuong?
No, tell me more.
He's a Vietnamese refugee. He's a poet. He's an author. He just came out with a new book. And he's like the biggest name right now. He was just he's on Oprah's book club. He was on the Today Show. He was on the New York Times Daily podcast. I mean, he is everywhere. And guess what? He was right here in Houston. Brazos Bookstore, which is one of my favorite places here in town, was able to get him. I can't even imagine how they must have felt like when they got the approval to bring him. So he came and he spoke to a large group actually at a church downtown. And it was just incredible to hear a little bit about his story. Again, he's a Vietnamese refugee. He started writing books even though his parents couldn't read. So it's incredible how he's able to sort of make a difference with his writing. And it was just really inspiring. In fact, I wrote down a bunch of quotes. So I'm going to read one of them that I just thought was so beautiful. He said, "I'm not interested as a writer in the American dream as much as I am in Americans who dream."
Whoa.
Beautiful, right?
That's powerful.
Absolutely. And it was amazing to see the book community kind of come out to support him. And it's great that we have a bookstore like Brazos Bookstore that can get these huge names to come to our area.
They're the best.
The best.
They're so awesome. There's so many great independently owned bookstores now in the city of Houston. Like, we're becoming a literary destination. I'm not even joking.
I love it.
Yeah. Like, there's so many talks. There's so many authors coming through here. Go to one of the bookstores and just walk around and exchange ideas. It's so cool. So I'm so happy that you had a chance to go experience that.
Yes, me too.
Okay, Pooja, before we get out of here, there is something so cool coming here to the city of Houston. Comic Palooza is going to be at George R. Brown Center from June 20th to June 22nd. And I've got a fun insider's tip for everyone on how to correctly enjoy Comic Palooza, which, by the way, is Texas's biggest pop culture festival. And it's going to be celebrating comic books, anime, wrestling, movies, and pretty much everything else pop culture has to offer. And one thing you have to do, okay, this is my big insider tip, you have to do this. They have a cosplay contest, not only for adults, but also for kids. And if you don't know what cosplay is, like if you don't know what it is basically you're dressing up in costume as your favorite character and you're walking around the convention, but there is a contest. And Pooja, these are so intricate. Like, these are amazing. They look like actual movie costumes. Like, there's Batmans. I've seen Iron Man, like functioning Iron Man costumes. It is wild.
So what are you dressing up as?
Batman. Come on. That's easy.
That didn't even take you 1 second to pause. Done, right?
I'm going as Batman. My goal is to buy the Batman costume from the Dark Knight series, like the actual ones. And I've seen them online. You know my wife. My wife is like, we cannot spend $500 on a Batman costume for you. So yeah, that's my goal. So if we want to start a GoFundMe for a Batman costume, I'm totally down. What about you?
I just want to, before even saying anything, I want to make it clear that within the past 20 minutes, you have both admitted that you want to dress up like Batman, and you have admitted that you went to your high school during the summer for fun. So you're really getting a lot of cool points right now.
To play basketball,
really
not for school.
A cool guy.
To play basketball.
Yeah, sure, okay.
But yeah, the cosplay contest is like an event staple there, and you have to go check it out. It's Saturday evening, okay? So whether you're professional or if this is your first time, you can go show off your incredible costume and creative talents. And then the kids cosplay contest is also going down. So young cosplayers can also participate in this big contest in the Kitopia area presented by Kroger. So please please go check it out and get your tickets right now and learn more about everything about Comic Palooza at comicpalooza.com/CityCastHouston. Pooja, that was a lot of fun. Maybe you're going to dress up as Poison Ivy. I don't know. All right, that's what we're going to do. We're going to do a group costume.
I was going to say a My Little Pony, but yeah, Poison Ivy was actually better.
Pooja, thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was ABC 13 reporter Pooja Lodhia. Learn more about the stories we talked about today with the links in our show notes. And while you're there, be sure to subscribe to our daily newsletter, Hey Houston. One of my favorite things is the events section that is filled with fun stuff to do around H-Town, so please check that out. And as we end the week, I want to ask you to help us grow the show by sharing this episode with 3 of your friends who you went to the neighborhood pool with in the summers. Also, drop us a rating and review wherever you're listening, and please subscribe if you haven't yet. Thank you. That will do it for this week here on CityCast Houston. Our producers this week were Selena C.A. Reynolds, Lizzie Goldsmith, and Carleon Jones. Our newsletter editor is Brooke Lewis. Our executive producer is Laura Isensee, and I'm your host, Raheel Ramzanali. Our music is by the band All the Kimonos, with additional music courtesy of Grip City Cronies, Dylan Sitz, and Roy Williams of EpidemicSound.com, plus White Noise Maker and DM from Triple Scoop Music via Getty Images. We'll be back on Monday with Space City weather to talk about what to expect for hurricane season this summer. Thank you for listening, and I hope you learned something new. Okay, 3, 2, hold on, sorry, that's embarrassing.
We're both like